Not only has email marketing completely changed in 2026, but on top of that, the email marketing strategy per revenue category is completely different. So what you're doing for your brand that is making less than $50,000 is entirely different to what a brand at $1 million per month mark should look like. So in this video, I'm going to give you the single source of truth for what you should be focusing on at every single revenue level, as well as the single source of truth for the best strategy for absolutely everything. Campaigns, segmentation, list growth, deliverability, literally flows, everything. The entire blueprint that you can follow step by step without hiding any information, so you can implement it for your brand and see the results in 2026. So I'm going to jump straight into it because I have so much to share with you. I cannot wait to dive in. So let's get into it. This is the email marketing blueprint for 2026. The go-to source. You do not need to watch another video about email marketing in 2026 because this is literally going to be covering every single thing. And if you're a brand that is spending on ads or you're about to, this is the lever that you need to scale aggressively. And if you're an agency or an email marketer, trust me, this is going to be even more valuable and your clients are going to see so much more revenue. So I'm literally leaving nothing behind. You can see what we're going to be covering is a full pillar map. Deliverability, capturing emails, campaigns, sales, flows, segments, analytics, using AI, how to capture more with your list, and tools. So I am covering absolutely everything that you need to know step by step. This is basically a full course condensed into one with only the information you actually need to know, especially considering the advanced strategies. So most of the fluff out there is the basics of how to get things set up. But if you're an e-commerce brand and you're already running ads, you probably already know enough about retention to have the basics in place. So if you already have the basics in place, this is the video for you. If you don't, go watch some other stuff and then come back here. This should still be valuable, but to be honest, this is going to be so important for the brands that already are spending and have a retention system in place. This is going to be the source of truth for how to elevate that revenue. And so what we want to do is we want to talk about revenue models and how we need to focus depending on where your revenue is. Most of the advice out there is very blanket statement, but it doesn't take into account where you're currently at. So if your business is currently making less than $50,000, so you have under $50,000 per month in overall revenue, your problem is not retention. Click off this video. Your problem is acquisition. Go watch videos about advertising. But if you're sitting at around $50,000 to $200,000, your number one focus should be on higher conversion of first-time buyers and increasing conversion, and or rather increasing retention. If you're making $200K to $500K, this is especially valuable for you because I'm going to cover the retention that you need in place that will elevate a lot more than what you currently have, even if you have email in place. Plus, you need to be increasing your AOV, and I have a really nice trick for that. Then $500K to $1 million per month, your focus should be on AOV and again, heightened conversion. So looking at those small levers that are going to make a huge difference in the overall picture. And then last thing is if you're making $1 million plus per month, your focus should be on absolute testing and focusing on subscription models or loyalty models. Going to be covering that as well. So let's focus on where you're currently at. You are, as of now, any business making above $50,000 per month. You know what issue is yours, and so I'm going to make sure that you have all of your answers covered throughout this video, whether you're struggling with testing or not knowing what to test to move the lever at $1 million a month, whether you're at AOV or if you're at 500K, but you need to increase AOV, you need to increase conversion. This is for you. So this is what to focus on per revenue tier. Like I said, you're at 50K to 200K first-time conversions. You can read through this, but that is basically the 5 different things and the 5 different focuses. Now to start, let's focus and strip back and focus on deliverability. The inbox is first. It doesn't matter how good of a campaign you send. Imagine you send a 100% discount to every single person that you know, but only one of them actually opens the email. Doesn't matter how good the offer is. It doesn't matter how good the brand is. It doesn't matter how terrible the brand is. If no one is opening, no one gives a shit. And so it doesn't actually fucking matter if you have a great email. Let's make sure that more people are seeing your emails to heighten the chances. So here are all the things that you need to have in place, right? So just authenticate your sending domain. This is easy. I have another video on this. I'm going to try and link it in the video. Otherwise, just search it, Jayde emails, deliverability. It will come up. And so what you need is you absolutely need to set up your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. It sounds complicated. It's not. Go read an article from Klaviyo on how to set that up. They give you a step-by-step. All it means is it is basically your credit score with delivery providers. Very easy to fix, very easy to set up. And if you have never really blasted tons of people, just warm up your list slowly with your highest engaged. I'm going to cover this later. And if you have sent before, but your deliverability is bad, for the next month, have extreme discipline and only send to people that have opened your emails at least 3 times in the last 30 days. It's a super small segment, but it's going to force people that actually know you to open your emails. And that is going to signal engagement to your providers and show that they should be sending you in the inbox. Super easy. That is what you should do. Follow the rest over here. But now let's get to the juice, right? You have been spending on ads, but you mostly don't really have the best email pop-up in place. You maybe have 20% off, right? And one sad footer. So you're 20% off when someone comes to your website, a sad footer, but basically they leave with nothing. They leave with no email sent over to you. You don't have any list growth, and you don't really have any ad spend recovered. This is what causes high CAC. So to graduate from this issue that you're currently facing, you need 3 forms. You need to capture 9% of traffic. That's your benchmark. And you need a pop-up, exit intent, and embedded footer. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like in action. These are 3 forms, and you should make sure that this is actually on your website. This is what Magic Mind does. So what they're actually doing is, number 1, they have this form that as soon as you land on the website, this is the first thing and only thing that you see. It is, number 1, an incredibly strong offer. As you can see, 50% off plus free gifts. And number 2, it is asking for your interest. The second step is then asking for your email. The third step, if you have SMS, is asking for SMS. And then the fourth step is to go either back to your inbox or carry on shopping. And then they get their email. It sounds like a lot, but I promise you, just having this step-by-step is the best performer in 2026. But now you don't want to leave it there, right? So what you want to do is show this immediately or wait about 5 seconds, right? So 5 to 10 seconds to show this email pop-up form. Then what you want to do is you want an exit intent. And all you're going to do is set this up for anyone that is about to leave the website or has kind of spent the average amount of time on your website that would cause them to leave. You're then going to give them a, hey, hold on, we have an even better offer for you. So arguably this should be around 60% instead of the 50%, or maybe a different kind of offer. And here they immediately are given it, and then they can go ahead and use it. So again, you're trying to recapture people that would have otherwise been lost. And of course, you need an embedded footer. Everyone has this at the bottom. Just make sure it's actually linking up to your welcome flow, because a lot of people do not have that. So these are the 3 forms you need in place. If you only have one, you're doing it incorrectly. If you only have an embedded footer, you're losing a ton of revenue. But you ideally need the pop-up with the offer, and you need 2 separate ones for mobile and desktop, just for ease, and also to make sure that you are seeing those analytics correctly. Now, this is what it looks like. To graduate, you have those 3 forms live, and you're capturing 9% of traffic. So you need that pop-up with the offer about 5 to 10 seconds later. It needs to be mobile, ideally full screen. Then you want an exit intent, which is different copy, and it is a sweeter offer. You want to do embedded form, and then you want to make sure that every single step is a single field only. You're not trying to get tons of information from them. The benchmark to figure out whether this is actually you graduating from the step is if you get 9% of total traffic. Now let's move on to campaigns. Now you got a list to deal with. You got a ton of people that you can actually send to. Now let's talk about what it actually looks like to send campaigns. This is where most people get it wrong, because everyone kind of has the basic foundations of flows in place, and everyone is doing what they can. They're getting a ton of traffic. They have a ton of traffic, but they are not targeting the traffic correctly. So this is an easy split for you to figure out whether or how to move forward. You should do 30% of your emails as plain text and 70% as image-based. And so here are the different archetypes of what to send. Educational, number 1, which everyone knows, but this is more how to use, ingredient deep dives, really go into the detail of the education. The second one is an old school newsletter. So we like to do this kind of every Sunday or choose a day for our clients. And so what we do is we pick a specific topic to talk about. We make sure that it is on brand, and we try not to sell in this. We're just providing value and trying to teach people to pay attention to our newsletter, and we're trying to pitch ourselves as an authority figure. Then founder stories, these work incredibly well. By a mile, this is our best performing non-discount email. Social proof, any reviews, UGC, press does really well. Product launches, spotlights, drops, restocks, And then, of course, this also falls into the place of product highlights. So it doesn't always have to be a launch, but always remind your customers of what the products do and how good they actually are. And then some community posts are amazing as well. So this is what a real calendar actually looks like for one of our clients. So you can see the times and the days that we're sending. We never send on a Monday. And we never really send on a Saturday either. We're trying to send Friday mornings is a really high performing day. So we try to save a lot of our launch emails for then. If it's a sale, a new product, Friday mornings perform exceptionally well. A Sunday evening, surprisingly, does so well as well. And this is where we'll angle our newsletter. So you can see the way that we split this up, right? We got a plain text over here, plain text over here. This newsletter is technically plain text as well. And the rest are kind of image based. And you can see that we're sending to very specific segments, which I'll come to shortly. But this is a real calendar and what it looks like for our clients. And here is what it actually looks like to have a best performing plain text email and what makes it work. So this is from Breeze. What they do is they sign it from a real person. So this one says, hey, got a message from a customer this week that I can't stop thinking about. Her name is Amy. Her review said, I used to trade Sunday nights. You guys changed that for me. That's the whole thing, right? That's why we do this. Not the science, not the business. One person's Sunday night just got better. Thanks for being part of this. Seriously. So this is incredible because what is happening is, think about your inbox. It is absolutely blasted with promotional emails. So much so that you as a consumer probably, number one, have never bought from an email personally. Or number two, you just click through the ones until you see a brand that you're familiar with, or you are kind of trained to look out for real people and real emails that at least look real. And so the ones that do, you're going to pause on. You're not just going to skip through them because it looks like another company's email. You're going to pay attention. And so this is why this works so well. It has the right font type, it is story first and product second, it seems genuine, and it is from a real person, so it's less transactional. It kind of reads like a quick Slack DM or whatever it is, and it is always leading with curiosity, not some kind of pitch. This works incredibly well as a pattern interrupter, and it builds this archetype of what the brand is subconsciously. So they make it from Corbin from Breeze. And so it seems like someone from the company is actually taking the time out of their day to reach out to the customer. Huge difference, always one of the best performers. And then let's take a look at a best performing image base, right? So this is the simple formula. There's obviously not a real email, which I'll show you just in 2 seconds, but this is what makes it work. Usually you have a hero image with a bold headline, super short. Within 5 seconds, you can see the logo, the hero visual, the subtext, the CTA, and then the product. It's always that formula. So now what is interesting is sometimes they'll send this as a founder name instead of the brand name, but they change it up. And obviously the contrast color palette is incredible, but overall there's one clear CTA above the fold, which is so important. They only ever really have 3 product blocks maximum. They don't overbear the entire email with tons of things, and their emails are incredibly short. So let's take a look at some of the best performing image-based emails. If we take a look, I like to use mill.com, and I recommend that you do as well. If we go take a look over here, you can see some of the brands that I follow, and there's a reason for it. But let's take a look at Breeze specifically so we can see an example. And what they do is, again, very simple, short email. Their logo, headline, subtext, CTA, and then the product image. And they are very quick to just talk about one specific thing or one topic. They're not overbearing the consumer. Let's use another random example. Let's just take Dollar Shave Club, right? We all know Dollar Shave Club. And same thing. They break down the emails so shortly. There's nothing massive in here. It's not even an impressive graphic. They probably, in fact, did this on Canva or something. Super easy. That's what converts. It's just a simple, plain, easy to read, strong graphical email. And that's all it takes. And here's a ton of other examples. David Protein, one of the fastest growing protein brands in the entire world. Again, same thing. Super easy, simple, high quality. Within 5 seconds, you got the headline, product image, subtext, CTA. Exact same formula over and over again. So let's go back. And now you know what a best performing image-based and a best performing text-based takes. Go and copycat. You know the formula for what your calendar should look like. You know what topics to use. Easy. Now, in terms of send times, this is what we've tested. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint that no one knows. When you send, actually does matter a lot. And so what we found is we want to make sure that we send around 10 a.m. And you can go look at your own stats and recipient activity for this. but we want to send an email when people are most likely to purchase, not just open, because those are two different things. I might check my emails in the morning while I'm at work. First thing I get in, I want to check my emails. But are you actually purchasing something while you're at work? Probably not. But you might be purchasing later on in the evening when you get home and you're scrolling on your phone. Or you might be purchasing when you wake up and you see something you really, really like. It's very dependent. Are people scrolling at work? Absolutely. Are they purchasing? Probably not. So this is what you really want to do. You want to send these times, ideally, and you can always play around with them. But here's the real kicker. You want to send at an off time. So don't only just send at 7 a.m., send at 7:17 a.m. because every brand sends on the dot. You're just taught to do that. But what is stopping you from sending at maybe 7:42? Not many brands are sending off the hour or off the half past mark, which means that you can land in the top of the inbox very easily. So just use that. You can obviously play around with it personally. But what we find is 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. are consistently our best emails. And generally, we want these to be plain text. So there's a different formula you can use for sales, and I'll get to that. But here are some things to split test in your sending. And these are the things that are actually working. So first thing we want to test is sender name, which you want to make a variant of your brand name. So if your brand is Aura Ring, you're going to say, all right, well, we're sending an email from Aura Ring. But what if you sent an email from James at Aura Ring or founder at Aura Ring? It adds this personal touch to it, and it makes people actually want to read your email instead of filtering you out immediately because they see a brand name, right? So take a look at another example of what Breeze does. This is my inbox, and I get emails from them pretty much every single day. But the big differentiator is I am skimming. This is what we all do with our emails. We don't actually read them. But before you click into an email, depending on your inbox, we skim. And so when I'm skimming, I'm seeing Corbin from Breeze. I'm not seeing Breeze straight away. So I'm probably more likely to click into the Corbin from Breeze one because it seems personal. It seems like a real person. And from time to time, if you open your eyes enough, you'll see an email from Aaron, who's the actual founder. And so you will see they're very few and far between, but it actually makes you pay more attention because you see that name even rarer. So obviously, when you choose a sender name, try and make it there a rarity about it, create an alias and create a brand name. Test these against each other, and I promise you'll see a ton. Then test plain text versus image-based. I had to test subject line, and that's it, and they call that a good strategy. That is bullshit. Subject line almost never matters. It only matters in case of sales and things like that. But generally, what you really want to be testing is those send times that I showed you, and then founder and sender name, and the format of the email. So plain text versus image-based is one of the best tests that you can actually run in e-commerce. Please go ahead and do that. But if you do want to insist on testing subject line, then test a question versus a statement. So curiosity versus clarity. Big difference sometimes, but not often. And then preview text, again, just continue this as the subject or tease the offer. You can pick which one. And then the CTA, make sure that you are testing between shop now versus specific verbiage. So let's just say that you are selling a sleep gummy. You can say shop now, or you can say get better sleep now. So we like to use specific verb, and we find that that works a lot better. So generally, plain text is the performer for us. Using a founder name, leading with question is better for us, and obviously teasing an offer is better for us, and then specific verbiage. But you can do what you want to do. Now you have a sale or a campaign sequence. Now, what about when you launch a new product, or when you want to launch a 30% site-wide and you want to prepare for Black Friday? Well, here's how you should actually do an email. First of all, every sale should land before the holiday, never on it. Oftentimes during a holiday, I get blasted with emails, but I've already made my buying decision because on the weekend itself, I'm number one, not reading my emails, but number two, I'm away and I'm stepping away from emails because I've taken the weekend off or the few days off from work. So, Memorial Day, for example, how many of you were actually actively paying attention to your emails? Probably not, because you had the day off and you didn't want to pay attention to work. And often we associate emails with work. So we're not going to pay attention to that when we're actually on a break. And so instead, what you should do is you should aim for your sales to land a week before and probe it as, hey, we want you to have your products in time for the time away. That's how you should sell it. Now, if you want to be very aggressive, this is the best way to do a sale that we found. So the first trick that we absolutely love, and this is really me giving you tons of gold because agencies charge a fortune just to implement this for you. First off, is we love sending a founder plain text email saying, don't buy this week. So what we'll do is, let's just say that we're running the sale next week. This week, we'll send an email from the founder saying, hey, I'm going to be honest, my team's going to kill me, but I just can't stomach the fact that you might buy this week. Please don't buy this week. Next week we have a sale. And I know this sounds strange, and I'm not trying to do reverse psychology on you. It would just kill me if you bought next week or you bought today without capitalizing on the discount that's coming. But you didn't hear it from me. That does so well. Ironically, sometimes it's one of our best performing campaigns because of the way that we went about it. The transparency is what they really love. But this does well because then what we do is we say, hey, but for right now, you can add some stuff to your cart, save it there, and we'll send you the code next week. Then what we do, and this is for about 5 days before, we send this early morning. Then what we do is we'll always launch the email in the morning as an image-based email, right? So this is the launch day. Launch the sale, image-based, it's short, it's simple, it tells them exactly when the sale's ending, it gives them the code, everything is simple and straight to the point. And it auto-applies, by the way. Make sure you use a link that auto-applies. Don't make them type anything in once they get to the website. Then what most brands don't do, and I don't understand why, is sending a founder plain text email reminder in the evening. The reason why this works and why most brands won't do it because they feel like they're spamming their audience, which is not true. Because again, remember the distinguishing factor of a brand email versus an owner email. The founder email feels different. It doesn't feel transactional. And so what you want to do is you want to send that founder email in the evening once the launch emails had some time to culminate. And you're going to send this email to everyone. And you're going to say, hey, just wanted to double check and make sure you saw our sale this morning. Again, I sent you an email about it last week, so just wanted to make sure you didn't miss it. Really think that you can get some things that you've been keeping an eye on, so hopefully this helps. Again, just go back and check that email, but just a PS, this is the code that you can use. So super personal, gets them to go back. Then what you want to do is step number 4, this is day 2 in the morning, do a resend of your image-based email to non-openers, right? So you're sending the exact same email, maybe a different subject line, to non-openers. Then what you want to do is you want to exclude any purchases during this week. So you want to exclude anyone that has placed an order in the last 5 days from any of these emails. You don't want to spam them, but you do want to get as many buyers across the line as possible. And so that's why we're distinguishing between sending to non-openers, a repeat, and then a reminder to non-buyers. So this is day 3 now. So day 1, we send 2 emails. Day 2, 1 email. Day 3, 1 email only to non-buyers. And this is a reminder. We want to restack the way that we pitch this email. We want to change our wording. So if you said, hey, get 30% off in the first email, say, hey, you have 30% in store credit. See how that wording switches? But it's the same sale, it's the same promotion. You just want to try different angles. Try and do that. Then you want to do a last call and you want to send that in the morning, maybe the evening if you want to be aggressive. And then lastly, on the last day, you want to do a 3-hour espresso shot extension to non-buyers and lift the discount ever so slightly. That's it. So that's what you want to do. People will always buy in anticipation. They will never buy during or when they think that the sale's going to go on forever or whatever it is. Make sure that you're building this FOMO and then you have this incredible sales sequence, because this is by far the best formula that we've seen for a sale. Now, let's get to the flows, because this is one of the most important things. I know you're already running ads and you already have the non-negotiable flows in place. And the non-negotiable flows are the welcome flow, cart flow, checkout flow, browser abandonment, site abandonment. You have these in place. Now, I've already done videos on how to set these up correctly. I'm sure you kind of do have them in place. But what you need to do is you need to run those split tests on these emails as well. Test every single email with a plain text versus the image base. Test every single one with the sender name, and test every single one with different sections in the emails. Do this in steps, especially if you have the bandwidth to actually do it. All right. But what you are not doing is you don't have these set up correctly. So your cart abandonment and your checkout abandonment and all your abandonment flows look like this on the left, but what they should be looking like is this one on the right. And it might look complicated, but it's a very simple change. The one on the left, first of all, you're saying, hey, did you leave something behind? And your cart will expire soon. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Every single one of you probably sends this out, or you've seen a recent video about email marketing and maybe change the subject line and the approach. But outside of that, this is what the structure looks like. Someone added to their cart, you're going to wait 30 minutes, you're going to say leave something behind, blah, blah, blah. This is not a working structure in 2026. What is, though, is making sure that you are sending to people that added to cart, but you're sending different messaging to people that have placed an order versus never placed an order. So the people that have never placed an order need completely different messaging, and they're going to get this messaging, which is number one, your order is ready to ship. See that difference? Instead of saying leave something behind, it sounds like someone is pretty much packing up their order and ready to go. So your order is ready to ship is the best performer. Then you want to send the cart will expire, and then you want to send a third email. Can we tempt you? And that's where you introduce your offer. So this is kind of the approach. And now what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're pushing urgency, you're pushing an offer towards them, because this is you trying to get them over the line. They are this close to placing an order with you. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to send this exact same messaging to someone who has re-entered because 2 months from placing my order, I decide to abandon something. The pain points are completely different of someone who has never purchased from you versus someone who has and still abandons. The pain points are different. And so what you want to do is you got to treat this as a fact that they're trying to refill their order. They've been back before. And so what you want to say is, hey, are you back for another? Your order is almost ready. And here you want to show the product that they left behind. You want to show the shipping estimate and any kind of early checkout CTA or whatever it is. But you want to make this as easy as possible for them. Then in the next one, you want to say, hey, are you still running low? Just wanted to check in. I know that you came back for something. Again, you're not trying to offer them a discount. So you see how the pain points are different. The difference in the second one is way different. They're probably trying to refill, but they get a bit of buyer's remorse again because they're not too sure. And so you don't have to build trust with them anymore. They trusted you to place an order once before. And that's what you should work on in the first series to non-buyers, is building trust. But to the second series of actual buyers that bought from you before, it's a completely different game, and you need to more so speak to the fact that they're making a correct decision and suggest some other products to them. That's going to be the best thing. And make sure that you warn that inventory is running low. They've bought that thing before, so make sure that you show them what they have bought before and tell them how low it's running. Now, there's 2 extra flows that you need to dial in that you probably don't. And especially if you're selling above 200K per month, these are the 2 flows that I often see when I order a brand backend that are the weakest. You need these 2 extra ones to really, really dial in. Number 1, a post-purchase flow. And this is a non-negotiable. The purpose of this one is to increase AOV and repeat customers. So post-purchase oftentimes is going to be the solution if you have a huge imbalance of one-time purchases versus repeat purchases, which is a big issue, by the way. If you go into your backend and you make those 2 segments right now, I guarantee the people that have only ever bought from you once is at least a 3x outweigh to anyone that is a repeat purchaser. And that's a problem. And so that is a symptom of a really bad post-purchase experience. So when you think about a restaurant that you recommend to your friends and family, it's probably not just because the food was really good. It's because the experience was exceptional. Whereas if you had incredible food, but the worst service that you've ever experienced, you will never buy from it again, right? And so if you have average food and incredible service, your perception of the food is actually going to improve. And the reason for that is because you loved the service, you loved the way they made you feel. It actually influenced the way you thought about the food. So that's exactly what a post-purchase flow is supposed to do. It's supposed to be a genuine thank you from the founder, and this is where most people stop. A post-purchase for them is, hey, thank you, leave a review. That is going to cost you more money than it's making you. What you should do is a founder email saying, hey, thank you. I just genuinely want to thank you for placing an order and trusting us. I know firsthand that there's so many brands you could have chosen from. I'm not dumb. I know that there were a lot of options. So thank you. Second email is actually nurturing and educating them. So if you are a supplement brand, the day after they get their product, you should say, hey, this is exactly how to use it to see the best results. This is the estimated timeline for you to see those results. This is how that will look. And then you want to give them an exceptional experience. So you want to tell them the story behind the brand, that product specifically. Make sure that they know they made the best decision. Then only do you want to upsell and ask for a review. So by that time, you've increased their AOV and the repeat purchase. And win back, same thing. You kind of want to show them what is new. Try and win them back with an insane offer, like a Hail Mary offer, and then send a plain text email trying to genuinely ask them why they stopped buying from us. You'll be surprised by how many people are willing to give you feedback. So this is the post-purchase flow. This is the structure. Pause the video, go and copy it. Essentially, it is an email saying, hey, your order went through. that plain text email. And you can see that we're breaking it off depending on how many times they purchase. So if they only ever purchase for the first time from us, we want to give them this walkthrough of their product. When they place an order the second time, we want to push them towards subscribe and save or loyalty. And this is where we ask for a request, because our product is obviously good enough that they wanted it again, which are going to improve the chance of getting positive feedback from them. Then the third time is where we push them towards, again, either a loyalty program, subscription, or we're giving them store credit to guarantee that they'll come back for a fourth time, and we give them entry into a VIP program. This is how a post-purchase is supposed to work, and I almost never see the structure in a brand. Now, what you have right now, this is your constraint. At your level, and why you're not scaling is because you have basic automation with not a huge attribution, and you're not dialed in at all. You're also not running any split tests commonly. We're basically running split tests every single week, if not every second week, for our brands. So when you go into the backends, it looks like the flow section is updated as of today or a week ago maximum. Our flows were not last updated in January of 2026. Right now, the last time we updated them was yesterday. So that's how yours should look as well. And so to graduate from this constraint, you need those 5 non-negotiable flows live, but correctly built out. You need those additional ones I spoke about, and they should be contributing about 30 to 40% of your email attribution. And that should be automated, right? Now, you got that dialed in. Let's talk about your segments and who you're sending to, because this is the most common thing that I see as an issue as well, is yes, you're sending emails consistently. Are the emails good enough? Probably not, unless you have an agency like us on your plate. And I'm just being honest about that. But if you are doing emails, you're probably doing okay. You probably see some growth. You probably see reliable revenue, but you're sending incorrectly. Every backend I go to usually is sending to 120-day engaged or 180-day engaged. Maybe they'll send to a non-buyer here and there. But these are the segments you should be sending to, and there should be different strategies for every segment. First up, on the hierarchy at the top, you have your repeat purchases. These are the people with the highest LTV. These are people that are carrying majority of purchases. Every time you send a campaign, you'll be surprised, but the 80% of the purchases are going to come from this segment. And we've done the breakdown of this to know that. Next up, we have one-time buyers. These are people that have only ever purchased once. You need to convert these into repeat purchases to increase your revenue. Then you're engaged non-buyers. They've opened in the last 30 days, and they've opened multiple times, but they just never bought. And you can change this. Engaged 180 is something where we do, and then non-buyers. Why did they not buy? Try and figure out what will convert them. Is it more education? Is it founder-led emails? Try and figure out the statistical analysis of what is likely to convert this audience. That's why it's important to send to these segments, because Klaviyo breaks down the numbers for you. So we'll take a look at that later. But here we have engaged 90, 120, and 180. You need tiered re-engagement, especially if your deliverability starts to dwindle. Lower the engagement period and just dramatically send to these people. But keep these people in the loop. These are people that are fans of the brand. You just need to keep them in the loop. And then lapsed customers, 180 days with no purchase, depending on your product. If you're a supplement brand and they haven't come back for 120 days, they probably lapsed. Even 90 days is probably a lapsed customer. So it depends on your product, your AOV. But you need to know the life cycle of your customer. Lapsed customers are the people that you, again, need to figure out what makes a customer lapse. It's probably a symptom, again, of a poor post-purchase experience, or that your product just stopped working for them or didn't work for them because they never learned how to use it correctly in the first place. So your constraint right now is you're mostly blasting every single email to the whole list, and you're burning through your engagement. You probably get some spam complaints, and your deliverability probably is pretty unreliable. You probably don't even know that you're landing in the promotions tab, which is just as good as spam. And trust me, I can guarantee 80% of you watching this are. So personally, I would go take a test and make sure that I'm not. The best thing to use is Glock apps. Go search it, do a test. Now, to graduate, you want to send people based on life cycle. So the right message to the right segment at the right time is the most important thing you can do. So this is what you'll do. To your VIP and repeat customers, do early access exclusive drops. Don't send discounts to them. Do not damage your margins for no reason. Trust me, they will buy regardless of what you send to them. In fact, we did a test and we sent out a sale email and we said that it was 40% off with a specific code. Ironically, 60% of the people that purchased that sale from that email did not use the code. It was never about the discount. It was just a good enough email that got them to convert. Now, to your one-time buyers, again, they need a second purchase nudge. They need to be cross-sold to, and they need to be pushed towards a subscribe and save from the get-go to see that they can save on every purchase, or at the very least, they need a post-purchase flow. Engaged non-buyers, they need social proof, objection handling, and time-bound offers. So instead of saying, hey, here's a sale, you say, hey, I would love to keep sending to you, but if you don't engage or let me know whether you're interested in the next 3 hours, I'm going to have to remove you from the list. That urgency is going to get them to make action. Then engage 90, 120, and 180. This is a great reactivation content. So like stories, again, don't really push too many discounts. Lapsed customers, you need a strong win back and then sunset them. So that's pretty much it. And make sure you exclude, like engage 30, and exclude any 7-day purchases and any subscribers. So if you have a subscription model, exclude anyone that is actively subscribed and has never canceled your subscription model from any sense. Trust me, this is going to save you a ton of revenue. Now, let's prioritize the analytics. This is basically what the analytics should look like if you're in a healthy place. Keep in mind that there are some privacy settings, so we don't want to look at open rates. Almost never do we want to look at open rates, but what we do want to see is the revenue share, we want to see list growth, and we want to see RPR. So you can pause that, you can see what that looks like. Now, you need to start tracking metrics if you want to graduate from wherever you're at in the revenue pyramid. And to graduate, you need to start tracking deliverability and spam rates basically daily. Weekly, you want to track your revenue per recipient. And monthly, you want to track your list growth, segment health, and share of revenue. And then quarterly, you want to track your LTV by cohort, send a rep, and then sunset audits. So that's what you actually want to do in terms of analytics. Now, keep in mind, you do have AI in your corner. This should be a leverage layer. So it's not necessarily to replace you, but here's what you should be using it for, and what we use it for as an agency is we work with hundreds of brands, we pull it to one central place. And so we basically use it as like a central data point for all of the split tests that are working best across accounts, all the campaigns that are working best, headlines working best, all the offers that are working the best in specific industries. We pull that to a central place. So whereas you have to do individual research and figure out what works for your brand, we know the answer 10 days before you even have a guesstimate. And so if you want to work with an agency that knows everything, because we have so many data points, we work with hundreds of brands, go down below and book in a call. We'll make sure that you get the absolute best email marketing with a guarantee. But now, if you do want to use AI as a leverage, here's how. You can use it for speed, to pick and test multiple subject lines. You can do this for multiple things, by the way. You can split test anything, CTAs, copy variations, whatever you want. You can now build at scale. You can turn a calendar into an entire brief just from one prompt. You can build strategy with it. You can ask it to analyze tons of patterns and sends and everything like that. Creative, so you can actually use it to generate copy variations for split tests as well. Like I said, segmentation and briefs is going to be huge for you. Now, this is the maths. Email marketing, as you know, is the owned list. This is a list that you own. You don't have to spend more on ads to retarget people because you're doing it all with email for free, basically. And so here's why this matters. You are basically sitting at 0 CAC on your send list. You've already spent to acquire them. And if anything, applying all of this should lower your CAC on ads, right? And because there's going to be a compounding effect, technically, with email in place correctly, you should have month-over-month growth as a guarantee. And so you can read all of this, but it's going to drive your LTV. It's essentially what is going to make you more profitable. And technically, what we always tell our clients, we're going to make you so profitable that you no longer have to rely on cash flow. You can rely on the email marketing to pay for your ads. That's how it should be. That is how the cycle should run. And so here's the maths, right? So if you just have 50,000 engaged people on your list, you do 12 cents a month, and you do not spend another cent on ads, you're going to make 100K a month without any additional ad spend. Now, I wouldn't recommend that if you actually want to scale, but the math speaks, right? And theoretically, you should be making around 400K per month with at least 180K dedicated to that. So with that being said, that is pretty much the stack that you need. You need Klaviyo, you need Claude, and you essentially need Loom, Notion, Figma for all the other things. But the main things you need, Klaviyo and Claude, and you're basically built out. Now, obviously, if you are strapped for the amount of time, or you just don't think that you're doing enough revenue, which you probably are not because 90% of brands are not, go down below and book in that call. Trust me. So this is the unfair advantage. With Claude, you can basically plan for the month, brief every send straight off, hand off to a designer, and then analyze and iterate. Again, handing off to a designer is something you have to do because as of right now filming this, who knows in the next week or so, Claude is not at the point of designing the best emails. It can do a fair enough job, but it still needs human input. That's why you still need an agency. So after all of that, you've now graduated and you should now be at $1 million a month with ease in the next, let's call it the next 6 to 12 months just by following this. If you're already at $1 million a month, you can imagine that you're going to see a 30 to 40% increase just from applying all of this. I guarantee it. So here's what to actually do this week. This is my wrap up for everything. Audit your deliverability, get those 3 forms live. Trust me, it makes a big difference. Build the 7 most important flows correctly. Map next month's calendar with the 30-70 split with plain text and image base, and then run your next sale through that 7-step sequence. Guarantee it'll be the best sale you ever run, and guarantee it'll be your best performing month ever. Apply it and then book in a call just so you can prove that we know what we're talking about. Now, that's basically the blueprint. So if you're spending on ads, start here. If you're about to, just make sure you fix all of this. And that is it. So, appreciate you watching this. Obviously, subscribe to make sure that you see more. Otherwise, I'll see you on a call hopefully soon to help your brand scale inevitably.